Every motorcycle tells a story. Some become icons, others quietly fade away. But when Harley-Davidson retires a model, it's never just a simple lineup change. It's the closing of a legacy. Several motorcycles that once carried the spirit of the brand have now been officially discontinued. These machines shaped generations of riders and left their mark on the road. Today, we're looking at 6 Harley-Davidson motorcycles that have been retired forever. And the reasons these legends are saying their final goodbye. Stay with us to the end to see which legendary model might be the most surprising farewell. Number 6. Harley-Davidson Street 750. Every era of motorcycling produces a few machines that arrive with a mission larger than themselves. They are not built simply to add another badge to the showroom floor. Instead, they are designed to push a company into unfamiliar territory, hoping to reach riders who might never have considered the brand before. During the middle years of the 2010s, Harley-Davidson faced exactly that challenge. The traditional customer base remained loyal, but the company knew the future would depend on attracting a younger generation raised on lighter, more affordable motorcycles. Instead of repeating the formula that had carried the company for decades, engineers attempted something that felt surprisingly different for a brand rooted in heavyweight cruisers. The goal was not to compete with long-distance touring machines or chrome-covered boulevard cruisers. The goal was simple: create a motorcycle that felt approachable to new riders while still carrying the unmistakable character of an American V-twin. Riders who first encountered this machine often noticed how compact it appeared compared with the towering touring bikes parked beside it. The riding position felt lower and more centered, with handlebars that encouraged relaxed control rather than stretched-out highway posture. In city traffic, the motorcycle felt narrow and manageable, qualities that mattered to riders navigating crowded streets or commuting through daily congestion. For veteran riders accustomed to large touring motorcycles, the experience felt noticeably different. The engine produced a smoother tone than the familiar air-cooled rumble many Harley owners had grown up with. Acceleration arrived in a calm, predictable way, rather than the heavy surge of torque, typical of larger cruisers. Some riders appreciated that refinement, seeing it as a practical step toward modern engineering. Others quietly felt that something of the traditional character had been softened in the process. Even so, the motorcycle played an important role in the company's strategy. It represented an effort to build a bridge between generations of riders. A new motorcyclist could step into the saddle without feeling overwhelmed by size or weight, while still experiencing a machine wearing one of the most recognizable emblems in motorcycling history. Weighing just 500 pounds, it remains agile and easy to handle, starting at an affordable $7,499. This bike comes with a 749 cubic centimeters engine. The 25.7-inch seat height makes it accessible for riders of all experience levels, offering a comfortable and controlled riding position. A different kind of cruiser steps forward after this story, proving that simplicity can sometimes leave a far deeper mark on Harley-Davidson history. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Iron 883. Across countless small towns and long stretches of American highway, certain motorcycles earn a reputation not through marketing campaigns or glossy advertisements, but through years of steady presence on the road. Riders see them parked outside diners, idling beside fuel pumps, or rumbling slowly through summer evening traffic. Over time, those familiar shapes become part of the landscape of motorcycling itself. One machine that quietly built such a reputation carried a stripped-down look that felt both rebellious and honest. The design philosophy behind the Iron 883 was rooted in simplicity. It avoided unnecessary decoration and focused on the essential elements that had defined Harley-Davidson motorcycles for generations. Low stance, dark finishes, and a muscular fuel tank created a silhouette that many riders immediately recognized as unmistakably American. Instead of chrome-covered excess, the machine leaned toward a darker, more understated character that appealed to riders who preferred subtle confidence over flash. For many riders, the first encounter with the Iron 883 felt like meeting a motorcycle that respected tradition without trying too hard to impress. The seat sat low enough to give riders a grounded sense of control, while the handlebars fell naturally, into the hands. That riding posture allowed long hours on the road without demanding athletic effort. Experienced riders often describe the experience as relaxed yet purposeful, the kind of machine that feels equally comfortable rolling through town or drifting along quiet back roads. The heart of the experience came from the familiar pulse of the Evolution 5 twin engine. It delivered a steady rhythm that older Harley riders have trusted for decades. The power did not arrive with dramatic spikes or aggressive bursts. Instead, it came forward in a predictable wave of torque, giving riders the confidence to ease away from stoplights and cruise along rural highways with calm authority. That mechanical rhythm remains one of the defining traits that longtime riders still associate with classic Harley motorcycles. Another reason the Iron 883 gained loyalty among riders was its straightforward nature. There were no complex riding modes or layers of electronic intervention demanding attention. The motorcycle asked for basic maintenance, regular riding, and respect for the road. For older riders who learned motorcycling during simpler times, that honesty carried enormous appeal. The machine behaved exactly the way it looked: solid, dependable, and focused on the fundamentals of riding. Over time, the Iron 883 became a gateway into the wider Harley-Davidson community. Many riders chose it as their first motorcycle from the brand, discovering the culture, camaraderie, and shared passion surrounding the badge. Some eventually upgraded to larger touring models, yet the memory of that initial ride often stayed linked to the unique experience this machine provided. It symbolized the start of a deeper connection with both the open road and fellow riders. For many, it was more than a motorcycle. It was the first step into a lifelong journey of freedom, adventure, and belonging. Sporting 49 horsepower and 54 pound-feet of torque, this model brings plenty of low-end grunt and reliability. With a 564-pound wet weight, it's stable yet nimble. Number 4. Harley-Davidson V-Rod. Some motorcycles arrive quietly and blend into the background of everyday riding. Others appear with a presence so different that riders immediately recognize something unusual has entered the conversation. At the beginning of the early 2000s, one machine stepped onto the road, carrying that exact kind of reputation. It looked longer, lower, and more aggressive than the cruisers most riders associated with the Harley-Davidson name. For many longtime enthusiasts, the first glimpse felt less like a familiar cruiser and more like a bold experiment. The design alone made it impossible to ignore. The frame stretched forward with a drag-inspired stance, placing the front wheel far ahead of the rider while the rear tire filled the back of the chassis with muscular width. Fuel was stored beneath the seat, a decision that helped keep the center of gravity low and allowed the sculpted airbox cover to dominate the upper silhouette. Riders accustomed to traditional cruisers immediately noticed that the proportions felt entirely new. When the engine came to life, the difference became even clearer. The familiar air-cooled rumble that had defined Harley motorcycles for generations gave way to a smoother, sharper tone. The power delivery felt eager, climbing through the rev range with a sense of urgency that surprised riders who expected the relaxed rhythm of classic cruisers. Acceleration arrived quickly and confidently, pushing the rider forward with authority that felt closer to performance motorcycles than boulevard cruisers. The machine owed much of that personality to its engineering origins. Harley-Davidson worked closely with Porsche engineers to develop an entirely new engine platform that embraced modern design principles. Liquid cooling helped maintain stable operating temperatures, while overhead camshafts allowed the engine to rev higher than most traditional Harley motors. The result was a power plant that combined American character with European engineering precision. For some riders, that combination felt like an exciting step forward. The motorcycle demonstrated that Harley-Davidson could compete in the world of modern performance, without abandoning the V-twin layout that defined its identity. Younger riders often admired the aggressive styling and stronger acceleration, seeing it as proof that the brand could evolve beyond its traditional image. At the same time, the motorcycle created debate among longtime Harley loyalists. Many riders appreciated the engineering achievement, yet they quietly wondered whether the machine had drifted too far from the familiar soul of the brand. The sound, the feel, and the riding experience differed enough that some enthusiasts struggled to recognize it as part of the lineage they had grown up with. Before we move on, check out the description to get the gear and accessories that keeps riding practical, not fragile. Number 3. Harley-Davidson FXDR 114. Every so often, a motorcycle appears that looks like it was designed with the drag strip in mind, rather than a quiet stretch of highway. The proportions seem exaggerated, the stance feels aggressive, and the entire machine gives the impression that it wants to launch forward even while standing still. When riders first encountered the FXDR 114, that was exactly the reaction it produced. It carried a shape that felt both familiar and unfamiliar at the same time, borrowing elements from traditional cruisers, while pushing them into a far more performance-oriented direction. At first glance, the motorcycle looked lean and purposeful, the long rear swing arm stretched behind the rider, with a wide tire planted firmly beneath the fender, giving the bike a visual sense of forward momentum. Instead of thick chrome surfaces and heavy body panels, much of the design relied on exposed metal and lightweight components. That approach created a look that many riders described as muscular yet stripped down, almost like a custom machine built for straight-line acceleration. Riders who swung a leg over the seat often noticed how the ergonomics differed from typical cruisers. The handlebars placed the rider slightly forward, encouraging a posture that felt more engaged with the motorcycle. Foot controls remained forward enough for comfort, yet the riding position subtly hinted at performance, rather than relaxed boulevard cruising. For experienced riders accustomed to heavier touring machines, the overall feel suggested that the bike had been engineered with a different philosophy in mind. Once the engine settled into its steady idle, the motorcycle revealed its deeper character. The Milwaukee 8 platform had already earned respect among riders for delivering strong torque and smooth power delivery. Inside the FXDR 114, that engine produced a confident surge that felt immediate the moment the throttle rolled open. Acceleration arrived with authority, pushing the rider forward in a way that reminded many people of drag racing heritage. That performance personality extended into the chassis as well. The motorcycle used a combination of aluminum and composite materials in several key components, helping reduce weight compared with other Softail models. The long swing arm helped stabilize the rear wheel during strong acceleration, allowing the bike to remain planted even when the engine delivered its full torque. Riders who enjoyed spirited riding often appreciated how the motorcycle responded quickly without feeling unstable. Still, the design created mixed reactions among traditional Harley enthusiasts. Some riders admired the bold styling and welcomed a cruiser that emphasized performance. Others quietly preferred the timeless look of classic Softail or touring machines. For riders who had spent decades on chrome-covered cruisers, the sharp angles and minimal bodywork felt unfamiliar. Despite varying opinions, the FXDR 114 proved Harley-Davidson's willingness to experiment with new directions. It marked a time when engineers explored how modern materials and performance-oriented design could redefine the cruiser category. Even riders loyal to traditional models recognized the motorcycle's bold departure, acknowledging it as one of the most daring designs in the company's recent history. The FXDR combined cutting-edge technology with Harley's iconic spirit, striking a balance between innovation and heritage. Though not universally embraced, it showcased the brand's commitment to pushing boundaries and exploring what a modern cruiser could truly be. With 90 horsepower and 119 pound-feet of torque, the FXDR combines drag strip performance with everyday handling. Weighing in at 668 pounds, it delivers strength without sacrificing rideability. Starting at $21,349, this bike features a high-performance 1,868 cubic centimeters engine. The 28-inch seat height gives it an aggressive yet comfortable position, pushing the limits of what a cruiser can do. A motorcycle rooted deeply in classic cruiser culture appears after this moment, reminding riders how powerful tradition can be when it refuses to fade quietly. Before these 6 iconic motorcycles vanish forever, subscribe to stay in the loop on every Harley-Davidson update, review, and announcement. Be the first to experience new stories, legendary machines, and the evolution of the brand you've followed and admired for years. Number 2. Harley-Davidson Sportster 48. Some motorcycles look fast, others look comfortable, and a few look like they belong to a different era entirely. Every rider who has spent time around American cruisers knows that certain machines carry the unmistakable silhouette of the past. Wide handlebars, a low stance, and a compact fuel tank can instantly bring back memories of the stripped-down customs that once filled back roads and small-town parking lots. The Sportster 48 carried that exact spirit into the modern era, reminding riders that simple design still holds a powerful connection to heritage. The shape alone made the motorcycle stand apart the moment it rolled into view. A fat front tire anchored the front end with a bold presence, while the peanut tank rested high on the frame like a nod to classic Sportster machines from decades earlier. Instead of complex body panels or aggressive angles, the overall design remained clean and purposeful. Riders often described it as the kind of motorcycle that looked ready for a quiet ride down an empty highway rather than a showroom spotlight. Swinging a leg over the seat revealed how deliberately low the motorcycle felt. The saddle placed the rider close to the ground, giving a sense of control that many experienced riders appreciate. Foot controls stretched forward in the familiar cruiser layout, encouraging a relaxed riding posture suited to long stretches of pavement. That combination of low seat height and balanced ergonomics helped the Sportster 48 feel approachable without sacrificing the confident stance expected from a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Out on the road, the character of the machine became even clearer. The familiar rhythm of the Evolution 5 twin engine delivered a steady pulse that longtime Harley riders instantly recognized. Acceleration did not arrive with aggressive urgency. Instead, it rolled forward in a controlled surge of torque, giving the rider the feeling that the motorcycle preferred steady momentum over dramatic bursts of speed. Many riders appreciated that behavior, especially those who valued predictable power delivery during relaxed cruising. Another part of the motorcycle's appeal came from its connection to the long-running Sportster lineage. That platform had been part of Harley-Davidson history for generations, evolving through different designs while keeping its essential character intact. Riders who grew up around earlier Sportster models often viewed the Sportster 48 as a tribute to that legacy. It kept the unmistakable engine configuration and mechanical rhythm while presenting them through a fresh visual style. Even the smallest details reinforced the motorcycle's bold personality. Dark finishes replaced much of the traditional chrome, lending the bike a confident, understated presence without the flash. The compact tank, wide tire, and low stance combined to create a profile that balanced classic appeal with a rebellious edge. For many riders, the machine echoed the spirit of garage-built customs that once defined American motorcycle culture. It wasn't just about performance, it was about attitude. The V-Rod muscle stood as a reminder that Harley-Davidson could craft something both aggressive and refined, rooted in tradition, but daring enough to break new ground. The 65 horsepower engine offers a smooth and confident ride, delivering 73 pound-feet of torque that's perfect for both city and highway cruising. At 564 pounds, it's balanced and easy to maneuver. Starting at around $11,000, it features a 1,202 cubic centimeters engine and a 26.2-inch seat height, combining classic design with modern performance for the rider who enjoys simplicity and style. Only one motorcycle remains to close this story, and it represents perhaps the most dramatic experiment Harley-Davidson ever placed on the road. Number 1. Harley-Davidson V-Rod muscle. Every generation of riders eventually witnesses a motorcycle that feels like a turning point. Not simply another model added to a catalog, but a machine that signals a shift in direction for an entire company. For many longtime Harley-Davidson enthusiasts, that moment arrived when a radically different kind of cruiser began appearing on American highways. The lines looked sharper, the stance appeared wider, and the entire motorcycle carried the attitude of a performance machine rather than a traditional boulevard cruiser. From the first glance, the silhouette made it clear that this motorcycle had not been designed around nostalgia alone. The rear tire stretched wide beneath the fender, giving the bike a planted and muscular appearance. Up front, the handlebars and sculpted tank created a profile that felt aggressive without abandoning the unmistakable V-twin identity riders expected from the brand. Many riders described the machine as looking more like a modern power cruiser than anything Harley-Davidson had previously released. Climbing into the saddle revealed a riding position that felt confident and purposeful. The seat sat low enough to keep the rider connected to the pavement, while the wide bars encouraged steady control over the front wheel. Instead of the relaxed posture associated with long-distance touring machines, the layout suggested that the motorcycle had been designed with performance and stability in mind. Riders who rolled onto open pavement often noticed how firmly the chassis remained planted as speed increased. Once the engine settled into its rhythm, the motorcycle's personality truly came alive. The sound carried a deeper mechanical precision compared with the familiar rumble of older air-cooled twins. Power built quickly through the rev range, delivering acceleration that surprised riders who expected the slower surge typical of heavyweight cruisers. Rolling the throttle forward produced a steady push that made the motorcycle feel eager to stretch its legs across wide highways. Behind that performance was an engineering philosophy that had already reshaped Harley-Davidson's understanding of modern powertrains. The Revolution engine platform introduced liquid cooling and overhead camshaft, designed to a company that had historically relied on air-cooled simplicity. Riders who appreciated technical innovation recognized that this approach allowed the engine to produce stronger horsepower without sacrificing durability. That combination of performance and reliability gave the motorcycle a distinctive identity among American cruisers. Styling played an equally important role in defining the machine's character. Instead of polished chrome dominating every surface, the design leaned toward darker finishes and bold shapes. The wide rear section, muscular bodywork, and sculpted intake cover created a look that felt both futuristic and unmistakably American. Many riders felt the motorcycle represented a bridge between traditional cruiser culture and the emerging world of performance-oriented V-twin machines. Over time, the motorcycle earned a reputation as one of the most daring production models Harley-Davidson had ever released. It demonstrated that the brand could explore modern engineering without abandoning the emotional pulse riders expect from a V-twin cruiser. Even riders devoted to the familiar rhythm of classic touring machines quietly acknowledged its authority on the road. The stance, acceleration, and mechanical character delivered something different. Not better or worse, simply bold. Long after production ended, conversations still surface at fuel stops and garages, where seasoned riders admit respect for a machine that challenged tradition and proved American muscle. Boasting a robust 125 horsepower and 85 pound-feet of torque, the V-Rod muscle screams performance. Weighing 673 pounds, it's built for speed and stability. Starting at $19,999, this powerhouse comes with a 1,252 cubic centimeters engine and a 25.7-inch seat height, offering a perfect blend of comfort, power, and aggression for those who want it all. As the road moves forward, some legendary motorcycles fade into history, but their stories never truly disappear. These 6 retired Harley-Davidson models each carried their own personality, sound, and spirit that riders will remember for years to come. Their engines may be silent in showrooms, but on the road and in rider memories, they'll always remain part of the Harley legacy. Now we'd love to hear from you. Which of these motorcycles do you miss the most, and which one deserved to stay longer? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more motorcycle stories.